So like this, hopefully this will be my last project I do. And when it's done, so like I'm not doing all this work to cash out as a developer, to sell lots to cash out. All that money goes back into the development, and I'm investing in my own cabins. So the pre-existing, so like the people that are buying into this development, they're almost like partners to us. Their success is our success. So unique stay development, I don't think that this has kind of ever been done before. I know down here.
Welcome back, everybody, to another Keys to the Commonwealth episode. I am super stoked as we don't do very many off-site, off-site from the studio, on-site type of interviews a lot of times. But we've got an awesome one that's a little bit more near to my heart. As we are on location here in, are we still in Powell County right now?
Yes, sir.
We're in Powell County, Kentucky. Most people don't know, I spent some of my first probably 7 years of life living in Powell County, and so for those that know that area, we're talking about Natural Bridge, the Gorge, just the edge of the Appalachian Mountains in part of Kentucky that is so close to, you know, Lexington, Louisville, Cincinnati, and it's really not that far at all, that most people shockingly have never even been here, that even live in the state of Kentucky, which still blows my mind a bit. But excited to kind of talk about a very unique thing we've got going on here with my man Wes May here, and you know, without further ado, you're with Off Grid Developments here, and you've had a dream and vision that I really thought would be a very interesting story to kind of jump into, and I'm glad you kind of invited me out here to kind of see this whole area. So if you're listening only on podcast, definitely check out some of either the clips or on YouTube, because we got quite some views out here. But without further ado, hop back in the DeLorean. Wes, tell me a little bit about yourself and how you got to where we're at right now.
Oh, so my name's Wes May. I'm from just south of Lexington. So prior to doing this development, my job was I ran a demolition and civil company. Yeah. So I've done developments all over central Kentucky, even in Ohio and Indiana. So basically, I've done this type of work for 20 years, and I just got burnt out on it, doing it for other developers. You always got impossible deadlines. After COVID, you know, COVID hit.
You're sitting around thinking about a lot of different things at that point, right?
That's right. All your jobs got shut down. And I had so many employees, and I think when COVID hit, everybody kind of got reconnected with nature. And I know that the Airbnbs like exploded.
Oh, yeah.
And but I'll just never forget, one of the best days of my life was like shutting down the company that it took me like 20 years to build. It was just chaos all the time.
I'm sure so many people are probably like, what the heck are you doing here?
They think I'm crazy. Yeah, because I built that company for like 20 years. Yeah. And I feel like I got to like my peak, and then I just kind of walked away from it. But it wasn't because, it was mainly because of my family. Yeah. To maintain that success of running a 100-employee company, you just have to neglect your family. So I just kind of come to reality. It actually hit me whenever COVID hit, and I was just like, man, what am I doing? Yeah. I think a lot of people question what they were doing when they had the steal of COVID, where you couldn't go out. But so I actually.
So we're standing on how many acres right now here?
So this is like 200 acres.
200 acres.
But this development's 40 acres.
Okay. And then did you find this before you decided to shut it all down, or did you shut it down before without, you know, did you have the game plan in mind when you shut the business you had built up over 20 years or so down?
So actually I had a buddy that talked me into investing into him. Yeah. So I was actually the investor when all this first started, because I was running my company, and the guy's like, hey, the Red River Gorge market's hot. Yep. Kind of sold me on it, and I'm not even supposed to be doing the developments. So I invested in him. He kind of, a good guy, he just didn't have the tools he needed to do a full-blown out development, and he ended up having to jump ship and focus on other stuff. So I kind of got stuck with the development that nobody was going to do, and I started coming down here, and I started seeing the potential. Yeah. Had
you come down here much? I mean, obviously, again, growing up an hour away, basically. I mean, had you been down here much?
No, it's kind of weird. I like never come to Red River Gorge.
I know.
So my grandfather's from here, and my wife's mother is from actually Powell County.
Okay.
So it's funny because, like my great grandfather, he moved to Lexington. My wife's mother, it's like they did everything in the world to get out of this place, and we're coming back to it.
maybe that's a generational thing now that we're a lot more of our generation, where you see it, you know, the Instagrams, the YouTube, et cetera, where, yeah, I mean, I'm in insurance and like that. And so, for example, like the idea of like beautiful diamond rings, the furs, things that people used to really value and really insure, I'm finding more and more of like our generation, like none of us have that type of stuff. Like, you know, a lot more times, like my wife, maybe yours, et cetera, they're like, well, I've got a wedding ring. Like, I don't really need much more. I don't care if it's even fake type of scenario. I'd rather spend more money on the experiences and getting out and seeing and traveling. And those are those things we can't take with us, right? Because like, we can build up wealth, this, that, or the other. But when you're old and stuff like that, and like, it's the memories that, you know, you can't take away, and that are lasting forever. And those are the things we come back and we talk about. And you're like, hey, remember when we went on this vacation? Or remember when, you know, we all did this and how crazy it was at the same time and stuff like that, right?
No, 100%. No, I mean, I think that people are starting to get in touch back with their roots.
Yeah.
You know, with social media and all the influencers, there's like this illusion, you know, that if you don't have a Ferrari, or, you know, like all these influencers, like people taking all these trips, but really, in reality, materialistic things, you just can't take them with you. It's not about what you have when you're here. It's about what you do while you're here.
And that time at the turn of the decade, you know, 5 years ago, it's clear that it kind of pushed everybody a little bit more into the world of like, well, we don't always have to be in the office at all times type of scenario, and maybe there's a balance there, and sometimes I can work from there, sometimes so I think it really kind of opened up the door probably for more people realizing, well, I can still kind of maintain a job of some kind potentially, but still maybe do some more traveling or working from a remote location here and there more often than we ever thought possible. And so I feel like it kind of opened up the door as well from that perspective, as far as a longevity aspect beyond just the fact that everybody was sitting at home at that point.
100%, yeah.
So.
No. For sure. I mean, you know, if you like your job every day you wake up and you go into work and you love your job, then you're living a good life. So what I did before, I did it for money.
Yeah.
I didn't like what I did. Wasn't a lot of the customers that I worked for, they didn't care about me. All they cared about was if I was on schedule and nobody got hurt. Yeah. So like here it's a little bit different because it's a passion project. Yep. So every day I wake up to work here, it's like, it's not work.
And I think there's a healthy balance, and I think I'm finding that too, where it could be something where I really care about the passion project itself, or sometimes it's a job where I'm maybe like, you know, I'm not the biggest, you know, I don't love necessarily what I'm doing as far as the job, but it's like the people, there's something aspect within a culture that, or some bigger picture part of it that at least ties you to that. And when you have neither of those, that's why, you know, moving and off to a, you know, passion project or something like that, which sounds crazy to other people, but, you know, we only, like I said, those memories, that's the only thing we have when we get old, really, for the most part. So, but yeah, pivoting then to on site here where we're at. I mean, we've got how many acres again for this project?
So this project's 200 acres.
200 acres, but this part of it's going to be 40 acres. 40
acres, 25 lots, and we've already sold 15 of them, so there's 10 more lots available.
Yep.
And this has been a 3-year project. So what we're doing here is we know that Powell County's ranked in the top 10 for short-term rental.
That's right.
So this one development, we just, we want the whole thing to be a unique stay. So
unique stay, and so keep that in mind as we're talking here, because unique stay, Airbnb as a whole has become a lot more of it became such a buzzword. So many people got into it that it's become harder and harder to stand out or really make the profit that people used to be seeing early on. So unique stay is that aspect that I've always thought from this area obviously would work. I mean, it was a no-brainer. It would work in this area, especially when you're already top 10 in American Airbnb type of stays, return on money, and so forth. But we'll talk a little bit more about the unique stay of what we're really kind of talking about there.
Okay, so when I was researching Airbnbs, so like this, hopefully this will be my last project I do. And when it's done, so like I'm not doing all this work to cash out as a developer, to sell lots to cash out. All that money goes back into the development, and I'm investing in my own cabins. So the pre-existing, so like the people that are buying into this development, they're almost like partners to us. Their success is our success. So unique stay development, I don't think that this has kind of ever been done before. I know down here, I'm sure it's been done in different places, but normally when you're unique stay, what happens is you find a cool piece of land. You're the investor, you're the owner, you're the rental, it's all turnkey.
Developer, everything.
So, exactly. So what you do is you find that piece of land and you have to create that unique stay. It's all up to you.
There could be lots of different places on site type of scenario. So it's almost like a boutique hotel without really, it's a kind of an easier way to think about it without it being just like one building necessarily.
Exactly. So what we're doing is we're selling off lots to help get the capital to create everybody's unique stay.
And that's the interesting part of like this hybrid method. I don't know if, I feel like that's the next iteration. You've already started the next iteration of this, as we've seen a lot of, you know, whether it's been on YouTube or it's Instagram or whatnot, where these people have, you know, multiples of these types of cabins. They're awesome. They're elevated places where they got more amenities, including internet and other stuff like that, if you want, but you're kind of still connecting with nature or having amazing views. But usually there's, like I said, there's a unique stay, someone owns the entire thing. And this is kind of a hybrid model, which I think is pretty awesome, where you're going to have some of that yourself, but you're also giving the opportunity to own a piece of that port, and without having to do and be a part of the owning the whole thing in that sense.
Exactly. So like what we're doing is we're creating almost that unique stay for you.
Yeah.
So I know there'll be competitions with cabins inside of Rock House Ridge, but the concept behind it is whenever everybody wants to go book direct.
Yeah.
So when I was doing my due diligence, if you're going to rely on an online booking platform and that's like your end game, as an investor, that's not too smart. You're a slave to your reviews. And actually, no, I know people that's gotten banned from short-term rental platforms. So like if you invest $500,000-$600,000 in a standalone cabin and that's all you have to create that unique stay all by yourself.
Right.
So then what happens is basically you have no really big budgets for social media to get drawings. So you have to create something hopefully nobody's seen before. So you're not just like an investor, you got to be an artist, right? Architectural. And then you still have to keep it within budget. And then on top of that, like you're a slave. Like I've seen reviews go down to where it's not like, oh, it was dirty. It was like, it was clean, it was nice, but it rained and they got like 3 stars. So it's like, you can get bad reviews because it rained. And like, you can't control those reviews.
So a lot of the unique stays like you were talking about there have been able to, once they get to, if they're a unique stay, they've made a lot of traction on social media, a following. They've started separating themselves and getting to the point where they could separate themselves of being able to go direct bookings. And then they're not relying on what we're talking about, the reviews necessarily, this, that, or the other, where Airbnbs, which are great options for people, but in this case, being able to kind of leverage yourself beyond that. And so you can kind of take back a little bit more of that control.
100%. And so the concept behind this is Rock House Ridge as a whole. So instead of buying a tract of land and being a standalone Airbnb and being a slave to online booking platforms, what we've done is we've created 25 lots here that are connected with 6 acres of amenities. Very unique amenities. So we're creating viral-worthy amenities that you don't have to create. And then what happens is when each 25 lots are connected with unique amenities, guess what? You're not a standalone.
No.
Now you have an HOA, and if it's done right by marketing, now you have a budget. So just to do the math, a typical modern cabin, 3-bedroom cabin in the Red River Gorge area brings in anywhere from $75,000 to $100,000 gross revenue annually. So one of those, even if you got 3 of those, you don't have no big budget for marketing. But times that by 25.
Exactly.
Then what you do is it doesn't matter if you're paying 3% online booking fee.
Yep.
Your guest is paying 14%, 13%. So at the end of the day, roughly they're getting 14 to 15%. Now you take everybody with the unique amenities, times that $100,000 gross revenue, times 25.
And I've even started doing that too a lot of times if I've seen a place where I will go and see if I can figure out there's a direct booking site, because a lot of times you can save money even on my end if you're doing the one that's booking the place. But I think that's the hybrid aspect, and that's the key there, where like you said, there's like more of an HOA style scenario, but people will be much more willing to do that. You know, you're getting a small piece of the pie without having the marketing work, the development work. You're gonna have trails out here, this lookout point people can come and like utilize. There's gonna be so many things that you only have one place. You're not having to do every single place, and you get to enjoy, but also reap the benefits like that as an investment property to an extent.
100%. It's a unique thing that we're doing out here. So when you buy a lot, you have a vote. So there's 25 votes.
Yeah.
And then we kind of run it as a business.
Yeah.
So we plan to maximize our return off the amenities that we created.
So is there going to be marketing as a part of that?
As a whole,
well?
Instead of marketing one individual cabin, we're going to build a website and market Rock House Ridge as a whole.
Yeah.
So our main goal is when people come to Red River Gorge, the first thing they do is like, hey, let's go to Rock House Ridge. It's booked out because hopefully it'll be booked out 2 years in advance.
Will. Yeah, it definitely will.
And then they have to book somewhere else. So like you go to certain places like Blackberry Mountain, and I'm not saying this place is going to be Blackberry Mountain. That's
Blackberry Mountain's in
Tennessee,
south of Knoxville, for those that don't know.
Yeah, and it's I mean they're getting $2,000 a night for a 450 square foot like little tree house.
Yeah.
But the reason why that is created and why they're maximizing their return is not because of the treehouse.
No.
It's because of the compound that they created and the unique amenities. And I think they got like a lot of cool hiking trails and stuff like that.
And that's what we're ultimately talking about, is like, if you build something that itself is a desire and it's not just a place for you to lay your head, which a lot of Airbnbs, that's a viable business to an extent. Like you're just providing a hotel alternative scenario, versus the reality of the unique stays is more you're trying to create more of a resort alternative.
100%.
I guess is the better way I think to think about that.
Yeah.
And so because of that, you're elevating what we're doing. You're elevating cabins and houses and the amenities and things that people would expect to kind of almost take in a vacation sort of manner there.
Well, yeah. So, but 100%. So, if you take 25 Airbnbs, and you connect them with unique amenities, then you take the budget of what you would have to pay an online booking platform, and you bring in $100,000 a year per each one. I mean, you're looking at close to $300,000 that you'd have to pay Airbnb. And if you do the right ingredients, and there's digital marketing involved, media, but you take that, instead of paying Airbnb $300,000, you take that and that's your budget, your annual budget to market this place.
And then you're probably going to be, like you said, a lot of those places are therefore, like you said, booked out for 1 year, 2 years in advance sometimes in that sense, because of the draw, and at that point you're just rolling, and it's awesome to see. So we've got, obviously, for those that will see it here, we'll take some videos like that. I mean, there's a pond here we've got going on. There's like these really cool, we won't really get into it, but like these old cave houses from Native Americans that you kind of found, which are super sweet, that I'm going to I want to take a look at here after this. But then what's kind of the vision outside of, obviously, as we develop all these cabins around this area and we have unique hiking trails and experiences and so forth, what's your vision for kind of some of the rest of it? If you're willing to share some of that.
No, that's fine. So this is like a short-term rental community. Right there's another 40-acre community. It's more bigger tracts of land, 5 to 10 acres. And that's more for residential.
Okay.
So I'm kind of we're selling those lots to people that see the opportunity up here. And basically we're calling those kind of homestead lots.
Sure.
So the way those work is like, we're kind of selling them to where it's not short-term rental. So people that want to build cabins over here and they want to live on the ground, they can build over there residential.
Could investors, I mean, ultimately probably, a couple times a year at least, probably stay
100%.
Like a typical, investment property.
Well,
but the idea is like you don't want anybody just moving into these. And I get it, because that really starts to take away from the unique stay aspect if someone's just permanently living in that.
Yeah, but at the same time, there's no rules.
Yeah.
So like, if you build a $500,000 cabin,
Yeah.
and you plan on coming down here,
Yeah.
and you never want to leave,
Yeah.
that just means I did my job good.
That's right.
And you can stay.
Yeah. And
So,
a lot of times you didn't have to do much. You just obviously you just kind of accentuated the views and the feel. I mean, it's obviously so quiet. And for those that have never been down this way, I mean, you got to get down here or over here. I guess it's not really south. It's so close, and it's such a unique part of Kentucky that has really not been. There's just so much opportunity, and again, there's a balance here. I get you kind of having some family back from here, me kind of living here. I get it with people who have spent their whole lives here and generations here. You don't want to just kick. No one wants to see a point where everybody's just kicked out in any type of scenario, but tastefully type of scenario. No one wants Gatlinburg here by any means, but
no, if there's a Ripley's, believe it or not, we failed this place.
Yeah, but like Hocking Hills, for those I've seen started to see that, or some of these other places where you're not going for putt-putt and go-kart tracks and stuff like that, but you kind of just get away, check out, and have like a quiet time, weekend vacation or whatnot with your family to make those memories like we talked about at the beginning, and those things that will stick with us. Yeah, that's where we're at. I think ultimately everybody would probably be behind in that sense. As far as the next kind of iteration, obviously this is the third summer of development now. How far out before you think you really start seeing the finished projects and cabins and so forth, or potentially building out and finalizing a lot of the trail aspects and so forth like that?
So it's like this is a 5-year project.
Okay.
So we're this will be the third summer in it. Mm-hmm. So this is going to be close.
Yep.
But we've only got 2 cabins coming out of the ground. We got 25 to build. So, but I would say that every cabin, I'm hoping that every cabin will be done, final cap on the roads by the end of the 5 years.
Okay. And that's the part takes some patience, because it's obviously right now it's hard. You don't see as much of the vision or those first half of it type of scenario. But it's like that second half where it's like, all right, now we're starting to see it. You're seeing your vision, you're seeing the capabilities and potential here in this, and that's what's going to be exciting. And I'm grateful that you were able to have us out and kind of get a little peek behind the curtain before this thing kind of takes off, for sure.
100%. I'm glad that you're here, man.
Yeah. And so for those that want to connect, find out more about it, what are the ways so that they can do so?
Just hit up Off-Grid Developments. We got a website, offgriddevelopments.com, and then just follow us on our social media platforms. We're on Instagram and Facebook.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, and so I've been following you all on that. I know there's definitely still lots for sale. Man, if I somehow come into money or something like that, I might be calling you up in that sense too. But we're going to take a look around here in a little bit and see what else we got going on with it. And like I said, if you haven't been down here, look at the website, come down and visit the Gorge in that sense. It really is such a beautiful place that is really in our backyard for most of Kentucky that I think a lot of people just haven't experienced. So by all means do so. And Wes, appreciate you having us and appreciate your time.
No, thanks for coming.
Absolutely. We'll see everybody next week on another episode of the Keys to the Commonwealth podcast. Appreciate it.
Thanks.